saw the participation of 28 parties and more than 60 leaders. The campaign theme of the India Bloc is out, and it is Judega Bharat, Jeetega Bharat. Although the logo of this opposition group is still pending, two concrete decisions were taken at the meeting. First was the announcement of a 13-member coordination committee which shall take all the major decisions together. I am told actually there is one more name and it's pending. We'll have to wait and see who's the 14th man or woman of this coordination committee. And the second important decision is on seat sharing, which shall be taken by or rather on 30th of September. So those two are the major takeaways of this two-day marathon meeting. This coordination panel includes amongst others K.C. Venugopal, Sharad Pawar, Mukha Stalin, Tejashwi Yadav, D. Raja and Abhishek Banerjee. There are of course other names as well. The one intent of this bloc is of course to build a strategy to defeat BJP and most importantly Narendra Modi in 2024. Let's listen in to what Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and later Rahul Gandhi had to say today.
52 साल से पॉलिटिक्स में हूं और 52 साल से एमएलए एमपी राज्यसभा का मेंबर हूं। मैं ऐसा नहीं देखा, कोई ऐसा चीफ मिनिस्टर किया नहीं ऐसा। लेकिन आज मोदी सडनली और एक बात की कि बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी को नहीं पूछे, अपोजिशन लीडर को भी नहीं बुलाए, किसी को बुलाए बगैर वो पार्लियामेंट का डेट देकर स्पेशल सेशन बुला रहे हैं। अरे स्पेशल सेशन मणिपुर जल रहा था तो आपने नहीं बुलाया, कोविड के वक्त नहीं बुलाया, जब आप चाइना अपनी जमीन हड़प कर ले रही है, कब्जा कर ली है, उसके लिए नहीं बुलाया। लोग तंग और तबाह इसमें ये हमारा नोटबंदी के वक्त परेशान थे, माइग्रेंट वर्कर परेशान, उस वक्त नहीं बुलाया। जब जब मुल्क अपने मुश्किल में रहता उस वक्त उन्होंने कभी नहीं बुलाया। अब क्यों बुलाया मुझे मालूम नहीं, आज का एजेंडा क्या है उनका मालूम नहीं। तो ये देश चलाने की रीत नहीं है, ये आहिस्ता आहिस्ता डिक्टेटरशिप की तरफ जा रहे हैं।
This stage represents 60% of the Indian population. If the parties on this stage unite, it is impossible for the BJP to win an election. So the task in front of us is to come together in the most efficient way possible. And two big steps have been taken in that regard. The first step is a coordination committee and committees under that committee. And the second step is a decision that we will expedite all seat sharing discussions and decisions and make them happen as soon as possible. These are two very, very powerful steps in ensuring that the India alliance defeats the BJP. The election is very, very clear. I did a press conference yesterday, and the nexus between the Prime Minister and a particular businessman is there for every single person to see. I mentioned yesterday in my press conference that the G20 is taking place, and it is very important for India's credibility, our nation's credibility, that the Prime Minister makes his position very clear and begins an inquiry on what has happened with regards to Mr. Adani.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that the two crucial decisions were, of course, that a coordination committee has been formed which will take all the major decisions, and the second one is seat sharing. The decision will be taken on or by 30th of September. The other decisions, which include all parties have decided to contest the polls together. This is very important. They also shall hold joint or simultaneous rallies. All media and communication to be in sync with each other after careful consideration. Let's listen in to what M.K. Stalin had to say at the meeting.
நடைபெற்றுக் கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய பாரதிய ஜனதா கட்சி எப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு சர்வாதிகார ஆட்சியை நடத்தி கொண்டிருக்கிறது என்பது உங்களுக்கெல்லாம் நல்லா தெரியும். அதுல இப்ப குறிப்பா பிரதமராக இருக்கக்கூடிய மோடி அவர்கள் எங்கே போனாலும், அது அரசு நிகழ்ச்சியா இருந்தாலும் சரி, கட்சி நிகழ்ச்சியா இருந்தாலும் சரி, அல்லது தனிப்பட்ட எந்த நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு போனாலும் அங்கெல்லாம் இந்த 9 வருஷமா செஞ்சிருக்கக்கூடிய சாதனைகளை பற்றி சொல்ல முடியாம சிறந்த ஆட்சி நடத்திக்கிட்டு இருக்கோங்கிறத வெளிப்படையாக சொல்ல முடியாத அளவுக்கு அவர் ஆளாகி நாங்க அமைச்சிருக்கக்கூடிய இந்தியாவுடைய கூட்டணியை பற்றி அவர் அடிக்கடி பேசிக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறாரு. ஆக சிறந்த பப்ளிகேஷன் ஆபீசரா பிரதமரே செயல்பட்டுக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார். அதற்காக நாங்க எங்க கூட்டணியின் சார்பில் பிரதமர் மோடி அவர்களுக்கு நன்றியை தெரிவிச்சுக்கிறோம். இந்த 9 ஆண்டு காலத்தில் இந்த ஆட்சியில, பிஜேபி ஆட்சியில எந்த சாதனைகளும் கிடையாது.
Considering this is the show which is called the South Indian, I'm a South Indian, let me translate what M.K. Stalin said. He said that Prime Minister Modi, wherever he goes, whether it is a party function or a political function, never forgets to actually speak about his government's achievements for the past 9 years. M.K. Stalin was extremely sarcastic and tongue-in-cheek, said that he's become his party's and his government's best propagandist. That's what M.K. Stalin said about Prime Minister Modi. Moving on. On the agenda at the meeting today was the possible appointment of a convener, which still of course awaits a final decision. And it's time now to listen to some of the other voices and very senior voices like Lalu Prasad Yadav and Nitish Kumar at the meeting.
मुझे काफ़ी प्रसन्नता हुई कि हम इस देश के विभिन्न पार्टियों के नेता अलग अलग बैठे थे और नरेंद्र मोदी ससर रहे थे आगे। हम एक नहीं थे, एक मंच पर एक एक उम्मीदवार खड़ा नहीं होते थे। उसका खमियाजा देश को भुगतना पड़ा और मोदी काफ़ी इसका लाभ उन्होंने उठाया। हम शुरू से ही यह लड़ाई लड़ते रहे कि भाजपा हटाओ देश बचाओ। भा मने भाजपा, ज मने जलाओ और पा मने पार्टी बोलते रहते थे। ये बात सही हो रहा, सही निकल रहा। इस देश में माइनॉरिटी सुरक्षित नहीं है। क्या क्या हुआ आपको मालूम होगा इस देश में क्या हो रहा है कि आज हमारे अल्पसंख्यक भाई सुरक्षित नहीं है, महसूस नहीं कर रहे हैं। अच्छा, देश में गरीबी बढ़ रही है, महंगाई बढ़ रही है। 60 रुपया किलो भिंडी हो गया, भिंडी। टमाटर का जो हाल है सो जानते ही हैं, जबकि टमाटर में कोई स्वाद भी नहीं है इनके राज में।
तो सब एकजुट होकर के, तो सब मिल करके और सारा अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, तो सबको लेकर के आगे बढ़ाना है। और तो इसीलिए जरूरी है कि अब सब लोग, अब अच्छा हो गया है, सब लोगों को अपना अपना अधिकार था, तो लेकिन अब इतना ज्यादा हम कोशिश करते रहे, बहुत कहते रहे कि जरा मिल जाइए, तो बात समझते समझते हो गया। अब तो हम यही चाहते हैं कि अब तेजी से काम हो, तो आज ही तय कर लिया है लोगों ने ये अब तेजी से हम लोग अभी से शुरू कर देंगे। अब कोई ठिकाना नहीं है, चुनाव समय के पहले भी हो सकता है, कोई ठीक नहीं है। इसलिए हम लोगों को भी तो अलर्ट रहना न पड़ेगा। इसलिए हम लोग सब इंटरनल बात पूरा कर लिए, यही पूरा बात दी है। और बाकी कई लोगों को अब जिम्मेवारी दे दी गई है, सब तरह का काम करेंगे।
So will this idea of India hold? Because the idea of India is something which has also been debated for many centuries now. Are the preparations by this bloc enough to give Modi a fight? Let's listen into what Arvind Kejriwal had to say, and then we shall go and meet our guests for the debate this evening.
ये जो इंडिया अलायंस है, ये अलायंस कुछ चंद 26, 27, 28 केवल पार्टियों का अलायंस नहीं है। ये इंडिया अलायंस इस देश के 140 करोड़ लोगों का अलायंस है और ये लोग एक साथ आए हैं, देश के लोग इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं और बहुत बड़ी संख्या में लोग इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं और देश के लोग इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं 21वीं सदी के भारत का निर्माण करने के लिए। आज हमें बहुत दुख होता है कि आज हमारे देश के अंदर जो सरकार है, मोदी सरकार, मुझे लगता है कि आजाद भारत की सबसे भ्रष्ट सरकार और सबसे अहंकारी सरकार है। एक भारतीय होने के नाते मुझे बेहद दुख होता है। पिछले 3-4 दिन से हम पढ़ रहे हैं कि विदेशों के अखबारों के फ्रंट पेज के ऊपर खबरें छप रही हैं कि हमारी भारत सरकार एक आदमी के लिए काम कर रही है। वो एक आदमी भारत से पैसे निकाल के बाहर विदेश में ले जा रहा है और भारत सरकार, मोदी सरकार, देश के प्रधानमंत्री उनकी मदद कर रहे हैं। बहुत दुख होता है एक भारतीय होने के नाते। विदेशों में तो खबरें छपनी चाहिए कि भारत में ये अच्छा हो गया, भारत में वो, तब देश का नाम आगे बढ़ेगा। देश का नाम ऐसे थोड़ी आगे बढ़ेगा कि पूरी भारत सरकार एक आदमी के काम करने के लिए लगी हुई है। आज हमारे भारत का युवा रोजगार ढूंढ रहा है, पढ़ लिख के बीए करके, बीकॉम करके, बीएससी करके रोजगार ढूंढ रहा है। उसके पास रोजगार नहीं है और वो जब सरकार के पास जाता है तो पता चलता है कि सारी सरकार एक ही आदमी के लिए काम कर रही है।
So let's debate strategy India. Let me introduce you to the guests this evening. Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst, has joined us. Nagesh Kumar, who is a senior journalist, is also with us. And S. Rajasekhara, also a senior journalist, is with us in the studio. A very, very warm welcome to all of you. You know, when I was looking at this, when I used to be young, you know, we had a famous phrase called Ayaram Gayaram, which is, of course, we all know that it's from a real incident where you saw people come and go, you know, in politics. I saw today how a lot of sworn enemies today have become very thick friends. I mean, of course, an opposition is always extremely good when we speak about a vibrant democracy. Amitabh Tiwari, what is the one thing that really stands out for you when you look at this, you know, confluence or this entire grouping called India?
See, I would say that there are ideological differences and they have been not on the same boat a lot of times, as you've mentioned. Even some of the parties which are here have been earlier part of N.D.A.
Right.
Between 1999 to 2004. However, survival is a very sharp instinct in any human being.
Right.
So I think it is for the survival of their parties that most of the regional parties here are part of the India bloc, and somehow, at least till today in these 3 meetings, they have been able to meander through their contradictions and differences and present a sort of a united front. However, one thing which caught my attention is that they will fight together as far as possible, which means, or which in a way is an acceptance of the fact that it is not going to be very smooth seat sharing in some of the tricky states like Kerala or Punjab, Delhi.
Why even Tamil Nadu? Why, you know, Amitabh, you know, Amitabh, we saw in the recent past, you know, Panchayat and other elections, even Erode, the way there was open fight between Congress and the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, DMK. Ayagiri and Stalin had many meetings. They walked out. I saw Congress walking out, DMK playing the big brother. So it's very, very evident that there are going to be problems. I mean, it's not going to be, like you say, smooth sailing at all. That is very crucial, you know, which they have said will happen on 30th or by 30th September. I think, you know, there is very less time and lot of things to be solved. Would you agree, Amitabh Tiwari?
Yeah, I mean, most of the challenges still persist. One is, of course, sheet sharing, tricky states and states, as we discussed. The other is leadership, whether they go for a combined leadership or a PM face. For the Congress in the past, combined leadership has worked in state elections, whereas for the regional parties, a strong face has worked, like Mamata or Kejriwal or Nitish. Then there is, of course, the formation or the creation of a common minimum program. The organizational issues have to be sorted out because the top leaders have met at the top. But this alliance benefits motivation of the cadre should percolate down to the ground. Otherwise, the booth worker may not work as enthusiastically as these top leaders are working. And last is that they need to have a message and a clear campaign. Currently, the message seems to be a grouping of anti-Modi or anti-BJP forces to grab power, like BJP has been alleging. Right. So they need to convert it into a more of a positive message and a positive communication or a campaign.
Right. Nagesh, does it stand out? You know, there was, of course, there was absolute denial to say Kharge shall not be the convener, because apparently even Mrs. Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, was not in favor of this. But you know, today they have not announced that, and I think that was a very crucial decision. You know, the kind of a fulcrum, a kernel. Of course, the coordination committee, they said, will take all the major decisions. But what do you think is the reason that the decision of not announcing a convener has been kept in abeyance, Nagesh Kumar?
It is obvious that they could not reach a consensus on the convener. But what really strikes me about this 13-member committee or the 14-member committee, I don't know which, because they said 14-member committee and one name is missing, and I think the name is from the CPM. So now what strikes me is that except for Sharad Pawar and a couple of others, the committee comprises the second line leaders and not the first line, front line leaders. For example, Rahul Gandhi or
Nitish,
Mallikarjun Kharge. They are not. Nitish is there, of course. Yes, and then RJD leaders are there, but not all. You know, I mean, K.C. Venugopal. So can he take decisions on behalf of the party at meetings? He has to go back and forth from Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi.
Yeah, but Nagesh, Nagesh, I'm stopping you here. That's why the convener, I think, like you rightly said, you know, regional satraps are there, but a convener would have perhaps played that role. But you know what the catch is? If you, Mr. Kharge, Mallikarjun Kharge, after Karnataka, you know, if he becomes the convener, everyone will say, oh, listen, now it's going to be Sonia Gandhi's voice all the way. So do you think there's a bit of a conundrum there, so far as the convener is concerned, Nagesh?
Definitely, you know, the convener will be a sort of a candidate for the prime ministership. So already, you know, even in a state like Bihar, the RJD and the JDU were speaking in different voices, one championing the cause of Nitish Kumar and another championing someone else's cause. So appointing a convener for this is a very tricky affair. Then another thing that struck me today is that there are so many caveats, you know, for the 3 resolutions that they passed. They said, the first thing they said is, they will contest the elections together.
Together, yes.
And together as far as possible. That means even before their campaign has begun, even before the choice of candidate has begun, or even before they have their seat sharing has begun, they are talking of as far as possible. Again, then they said public rallies at the earliest. I don't know why these caveats are there everywhere. Again, they said they will coordinate their campaign on Judega Bharat and Jeetega India. That's a very fine. the very fine slogan, but they will start a campaign for that again at the earliest. There seems to be some lack of, some lack of confidence. That is one thing. Another thing today that struck me, I listened to all the speeches carefully today, and I don't know, instead of spelling out their own agenda of what they are going to do and what is it they will place before the people, all of them went in an all-out attack against the Prime Minister. So it was a sort of a, today it looked like an anti-Modi platform
Right.
rather than a pro-India platform.
Absolutely.
So that is
Yeah.
one thing that they could have avoided.
Yeah. Rajasekhara, I want to bring you in here. So what Nagesh said, I want to, take off from there. See, no one is trying to sound cynical. We are all journalists here and, we political analysts, and we know that the more there is, opposition, the more vibrant democracy is. It only makes sense if you have someone to say, I don't agree, we don't agree, so it's not as if we are anarchy or we are autocracy, we are not. But, there doesn't seem to be a concrete plan, as it were, Rajasekhara, in place today. It was like, let's just go with anti-Modi, very well said by Nagesh. But tell me something, what stood out for me, and I think one thing of course will come up, are guarantees, because they are not going to run away from guarantees. It's a big success so far as Karnataka is concerned. It will be replicated. Rahul Gandhi has said it many times, even during Graha Lakshmi launch. But I want to ask you, Rajasekhara, that this Bharat Jodo Yatra, do you think the shadow of that looms large on this entire, block, as it were? Judega Bharat, Jeetega Bharat. Do you think this is Bharat Jodo 2.0, Rajasekhara, as it were?
Yeah, that should have been an ideal explanation for this alliance, but unfortunately it is not. Even the Bharat Jodo Yatra as it was, it could only enthuse the Congress party workers to an extent, and what created the magic for the Congress in Karnataka is the 5 guarantee schemes that they have announced and slowly they started implementing in the last 100 days now. But as you and other panelists pointed out, it's a loose federation of all parties, basically anti-BJP, anti-Modi in particular. And most of these parties, except 1 or 2, including the Congress and some other party, they were all aligned with the BJP at one point or the other point. Yes. And NCP now in Maharashtra is part of the BJP government, a faction of NCP. So this is the situation. And we have seen in the past also how there were efforts to create fronts against the governments in power in the center during this from 70s onwards. So this has been the case, and the BJP is in a position like what the Congress was in the 70s and 80s, early 80s and late 80s also. They are quite strong. And on the contrary, Congress popularity and presence has been on decline in many states, and regional parties have taken over. In South, except in Karnataka, they have no position to come to power in any of the states as of now. Maybe in Telangana, they are fighting back, but definitely not in the other states. So similarly, up in North, UP, Bihar, they are not in a position to contest and come to power on their own. So this is the situation. How they're going to have seat sharing, how they come arrive at a common consensus. These are things that I think it's not going to. I don't see this as a final alignment of parties. As the elections approach, there will be a lot of realignments, and finally, I don't know how many will remain in India Federation as such.
Right.
I have my own doubts whether some of the.
Yeah, Amitabh, you know what Rajasekhara said. I want to, also talk about the numbers. After all, God lies in numbers. The details of the numbers. Do you think that what Rahul Gandhi said today? He said, 60%. If 60% of us on the stage we fight back, then there is nothing which will stop us. Briefly, just tell the viewers about, does the arithmetic even work? The magic of arithmetic. I mean, electoral politics is about arithmetic. Look at all of them, and then look at how Modi, the kind of goodwill that he has even today. Yesterday I was reading the papers. I mean, Modi's popularity may have gone down a few notches, but it's still up there.
Yeah, so arithmetic works in elections, of course, but you also need to have chemistry. And if you see, the India partners today have some 144 MPs. and on 328 seats, they were runner-up in 2019 election. On these 328 seats, 44 seats are such on which the India Alliance partner was the winner as well as the runner-up. So these 44 seats could be tricky for any alliance to be formed because both of them would now claim for these seats, correct? However, if the alliance goes on the principle or works on the principle of natural justice, which is the winner and the runner-up have the first claim on the seats. If most of the parties agree to this formula, then 80% of the seats, almost 428 seats, there should be no confusion.
All right.
Because that's pretty crystal clear. Then there are 3 states, Odisha, Telangana and Andhra. In these 3 states, can you tell me whether any party apart from Congress is the main contender or davedar of these seats? Anyways, most of these parties are not going to win, correct? It is largely regional parties like YSRCP, TRS, or
yes.
BRS and Biju
BJD.
Janata Dal, which are not part of the alliance and are likely to win
Right,
there. So these 57 seats, whoever contests from India Alliance is not much of a matter or a concern. So it becomes 90% of the seats actually, if they follow a natural justice principle, they could agree or have some consensus on the seats. Now you mentioned about the convener and the fact that no convener was announced.
Yeah.
So see, in NDA, the BJP occupied the prime ministerial chair, and the NDA convener position was with Sharad Yadav, Janata Dal United. See, again, by the principle of natural justice, the convener has to be from a party which has more number of seats. Otherwise, its acceptability will not be there. Now, if the Congress leads the alliance and is eyeing for the prime ministerial chair, then the convener has to be somebody from either from Stalin or from Nitish Kumar or from Mamata, because these 3 have the largest number of seats after Congress. But this could then increase the contradictions or tensions within the alliance.
Absolutely.
That's why probably a convener has not been announced. However, as one of the panelists said, there has to be clear leadership. Without a clear leadership,
that's what
happens is that in the end, if you leave it to, we will decide after the elections, then what happens is that it portends instability or uncertainty in the mind of the voter, and we do not want to go back to the 1990s when every 2 years there is an election.
So which is talking about hegemony and dominance. And Nagesh, this entire thing, some experts are reading that, you know, that seat sharing decision which will be taken or before 30th of September, it is also to in a way scuttle Congress's dominance, because there is a fear that Congress will dominate, because as of now it only has Karnataka. You know, going forward, if it also, you know, by some quirk of luck wins Rajasthan, it will have more of heft. So it is almost like all the other parties are saying, let's do it before it's too late. Do you think that could be one of the reasons to kind of stymie Congress's dominance, as it were, in the India bloc?
So I see it slightly differently. You see, now they are talking of having a 1-to-1 contest in 400 seats. So primarily it will be in, see, if you take the example of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and these 3 states and a few others, where there was a 1-to-1 contest, and you know, the other Samajwadi Party, BSP and others were not there, the Congress could not win a single seat. So I don't know on what basis a 1-to-1 contest will directly help the I.N.D.I.A. So, and then now, how will they adjust the seats in a state like West Bengal? Will be very interesting to watch, because
Punjab,
there will be 3 contenders. One Trinamool Congress, of course, and then second is CPM, and the third is Congress. So, will it be advantage BJP. See, now there is a theory that if the CPM is not given any chance
Right,
to
right.
contest from many seats, and then it contests against the Trinamool Congress directly, it will help the BJP.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
BJP is very strong in the parliament elections.
Absolutely. And Rajshekhar, what Nagesh Kumar said, and do you think that will be also a problem in Punjab, for instance? Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress. So this kind of a confusion, it is all very well to say we'll solve it by 30th September. But there is no method to this madness at all. These are egos, these are regional satraps. The AAP, has made it very, very clear that the way it won Punjab. How do you look at it? Don't you think that it will create more confusion?
See, what happened in 2019 in Karnataka, Congress and the JDS came together to fight on BJP. And BJP won 25 of the 28 seats. Congress and JDS would win only one, and one independent backed by the Congress and BJP. So this is going to repeat elsewhere also. As long as the leaders might come at a higher level together, they can hold hands and pose for pictures and all. But what happens at the ground level, the party workers may not come because they are fighting every day and night to tooth and nail against each other. How can they come together and work for one particular candidate from the opposition party? I don't think it is going to work in many places. So I think it's going to be counterproductive, and Congress is going to be much alienated in many places. And BJP could cover the ground quite well in the elections if this is going to be the situation. And it's very difficult to ensure that the ground level party workers come and join hands and work for people who they were fighting every day. I can see a similar situation what happened in Karnataka at the national level too.
Right. Amitabh Tiwari, just tell me something that, amongst other things, there is arithmetic, but you also said there is something called chemistry. Now, the chemistry between leaders, of course, you spoke about, but I'm talking about, I'm talking purely as somebody who's watched Indian politics over the years. Narendra Modi may not have the same kind of invincibility that he had in the previous years, 14, 19. But the point is that he is a force to reckon with. What Rajasekhara said, that what about the Karyakartas? Will they feel as enthused? I am asking you, is it that easy? Because Bharat Jodo was a success. I know that they had a fabulous victory in Karnataka, and they have a very strong leader in Mallikarjun Kharge. He's one of the best things which has happened to the Congress in, I think, decades. But don't you think Modi is a factor, Amitabh Tiwari, that they cannot perhaps, and Modi has this quality of hitting back at the right time?
Yeah, so there are 2-3 things here, essentially, Sujata. One is that the votes which many of the parties have got, like the Aam Aadmi Party, the CPM in Kerala, and the Trinamool Congress also in West Bengal, is not entirely an anti-BJP vote.
Right.
Some of the vote is an anti-Congress vote itself, because CPM in Kerala is not getting anti-BJP vote. So this seamless transfer of vote may not happen, because when any two parties join hands, what happens is that some of the antagonistic vote blocks move away. Like you had an impressive Mahagathbandhan in UP in 2019, but the impact was not as severe as was projected, correct? Because of the fact that there was not only a chemistry between the workers absent, but there has to be a chemistry between the vote blocks itself. So the vote blocks, if they do not mingle and do not vote for the same party, then the impact of the alliance could decline. And now on leadership, 37% people in 2019 voted on the basis of the prime ministerial face. So they need to have some faith, because this is a large number, this is the highest.
Yes.
And what is happening is that in 2019, 1/3 of BJP voters voted for BJP only because of Modi. And a recent C-voter survey shows that this number could have increased to 44%. Whereas the BJP vote share is constant, Modi's proportion of votes in the total votes of BJP has increased to 44, because more or less his popularity is intact. Absolutely. So from here, something has to happen to his popularity, a decline in popularity perhaps, but that is not in control of the India alliance.
Yes.
And that is, based on some uncertain events,
And of
which
course,
may or may not happen in the future.
Yeah, and Amitabh Tiwari, what you said is very relevant, considering that Congress has said that we are ready to make all the sacrifices. Ours will not be the prime ministerial candidate. I think the next major challenge for India Bloc will be kaun banega Pradhan Mantri. Thank you so much, Amitabh Tiwari. I've completely, ran out of time. Thank you so much, Nagesh Kumar and Rajasekhara. Many thanks for joining us on this broadcast. And the South Indian is slipping into a very short break, but just don't go away, because I have some sizzling hot news coming in from Karnataka. It's about politics, so please stay.
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.